guests request and then process them into an episode, because we try to foreshadow what we're going to do. And we have our guests lined up for almost a month and a half. I remember when we were looking for guests the week of, and now we're about a month and a half out of booking. Excuse me, which is good. But, you know, a couple of the topics that we can talk about in the future are more so just, you know, everyday things that you or I go through in life. And it might be something from or as little as, you know, taking your kid to the mall and grocery shopping or anything, because the main thing we want to do is connect with people and have people be able to relate to us. And when they listen to Hellbound with Halos, they can go, you know what? Shit, that's me. You know, like, hey, you know, I've been there before too, Kevin, or I've been there before too, Sully. You know, and that way, because I think that's the way that you know, people strive for connection, and people need to connect with other people. And I think that's the best way to gain and grow listeners is for them to be able to connect and relate with you. So that's really what we push for when we come up with our content ideas in the long run.
And also to stress as well too. And you know, where can people listen to your podcast? iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and where can they search you at? And is there any outlets they can listen to you on?
Yeah, they can see our website on hwhpodcast.com. And on there, you can do pretty much everything from listening to an episode to browsing our new online store, which doesn't, you know, we just revamped it. So there isn't any, it isn't all podcast merchandise. We've kind of formed a community around the podcast called Hellbound Nation. Mm-hmm. And what that is Hellbound Nation is the community of all of our listeners. So they're a part of the Hellbound Nation, and we have a logo for that, and that's on some of the products in there. You can also become a member, and all of our members of the Hellbound with Halos website get a free decal package from us. It's a large Hellbound with Halos decal, a large Hellbound Nation decal, 2 smaller Hellbound with Halos decals, and postcard and stuff like that. So it's a cool little package that we do for our members. And there's a bunch of other stuff. There's forums and stuff on there that you can get involved with. You know, a lot of people are complaining about social media these days, so we've created forums for them to go into and kind of get off social media a little bit and socialize amongst themselves in the community. But we have our Facebook page, Hellbound with Halos podcast. On there we have our subgroup, which is Hellbound Nation. So that's a Facebook group on Facebook as well. Instagram is HWH Podcast. Twitter is Hellbound_Halos. And, you know, you can find us on any podcast app, literally every single one. The only one we aren't on anymore is SoundCloud. We actually pulled out of SoundCloud. And other than that, yeah, that's pretty much everywhere you can find us. We're all over, and we're growing. We're happy. We're proud of that. And we're going to keep doing good things in order to keep growing. So.
And of course, have a cup of coffee with just about everybody. And I think you've also had one of your coffee CEO guests, and I can use some coffee right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Their coffee is supposedly good. I don't personally drink coffee, and I did tell JT that when he was on with us. But, you know, from what I hear, everybody absolutely loves Black Rifle coffee. So, yeah, pretty good stuff. We're super excited for the future, doing a lot of planning and trying to get out there a little bit more in different ways, obviously. There's tons of different things you can do, sponsoring events, going to events, meeting new people, going to podcast conventions, stuff like that. And, you know, while we'd love to go to all of them, we do make firefighter salary. So we can only go to we can only do what we can do. But you know what? And we say this all the time on the podcast. It's a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing right now is we're watering it. And we're just letting the tree grow. And that tree takes a couple years to grow, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're patient. And like I said before, Sully is really has been a huge catalyst into keeping this successful, because he reins me in. I'm the one that wants to go out and do everything and buy everything and advertise and this, that, and the other thing. And Sully's like, whoa, wait a minute, Kevin. Hold on. This we need to think about this. So, he's been a huge part of our success.
And Sully, do you drink coffee by any chance?
I do not. No.
Really? Okay. But go ahead.
The two firefighters you've ever talked to that don't drink coffee. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Well, you know something? I can understand that in a way. It's like you guys had some coffee on. It's like, with our podcast, sit down, grab a cup of coffee and, join in and everything else. And, the homeless and the less fortunate. And, of course, first responders, first thing to offer is a cup of coffee as well, too. And do you think you may want to throw in a twist? It's like, hey, how about a beer? How about Jack Daniels or something? How do you think that go over?
Oh, we joke about that all the time in the firehouse.
Yeah.
All the time in the firehouse. But I'll tell you what, even though Sully and I don't drink coffee, the coffee is always on. So
it is.
Whether you drink it or not, that's one of the first things you learn as a probie is you always have the coffee hot, and if there's an officer of rank or a senior firefighter sitting there at the table, you make sure their coffee is always full.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you guys serve very well. So let's just hit some of your guests as well, too. This is very good. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and also watch the interview on YouTube as well. We're here with Kevin and Sully from the Hellbound with Halos podcast. They're based out of New York State. They're firefighters and also first responders, and I'm sure it's pretty chilly up there in New York State, and battling with the snow, the elements, and everything else, and saving people, and I guess that you're probably colder than us, or maybe we're colder than you or something. So polar vortex, and of course the groundhog, as we're recording as we speak. Everybody wants to strangle the groundhog because he predicted an early spring. Looks like that's not going to happen.
Well, it is still February, we can get some good snows up here even in March, but you take it as it is. We've lived here our whole lives. It's kind of another thing. It's funny when you hear, my sister lives down in New Jersey, and they had like an inch of snow yesterday, and they closed everything. And
oh my gosh!
I sent a picture of the roads here, and we got like 5-6 inches of snow yesterday, and people are just going about their business.
Mm-hmm. It also sounds like it too, and of course, being in New York, you have a lot of sports fans too. You had Bob Menery, a famous comedic sports commentator, and he also got hired on by National Broadcasting Network for sporting events, and of course, you guys talk sports, and you guys talk about the Super Bowl, and maybe just your thoughts on what happened during the Super Bowl and some of your teams in New York.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for the Bills, but they're growing. But I don't know. I'm not a big Patriots fan, but I'm glad to see Tom Brady get another championship. Those guys do work hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't enjoy watching them play the Bills every Sunday.
or watch the Patriots lose to Miami in South Florida. It's almost like kryptonite every time Tom Brady goes down to South Florida. It's almost like a dolphin made of kryptonite just stares right at Tom Brady's face, and he has like the worst game of his life. So.
Yeah, it's always interesting when he goes down there.
Yeah, I can't stand Tom Brady. Sully is very nice about the way he approached that question. I personally hate. I hate Brady. I don't say hate much. The problem is I'm a Steelers fan, and we've lost to the Steelers or to the Patriots in the playoffs one too many times for my liking. So I understand and I give Tom Brady credit. He is probably one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game under the new rules. And he doesn't take the hits like Terry Bradshaw did and Jim Kelly and some of the other greats. But, he's putting up numbers, so I got to give it to him.
Mm-hmm. It's just like Ben Roethlisberger, he's getting up there and 38 years old and playing well and everything else. And, of course, what happened with the Steelers and losing quite a few key guys. And you have to say it's like, you wonder, what could they do better for next year? And maybe some of your thoughts about, what's coming up in the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell held out last year, obviously, as most sports fans know, and that's okay. The Steelers have always been a great franchise as far as scouting. They've always been really good at pulling guys from colleges that in the 6th, 7th round, you wouldn't even imagine these guys having some of the talent they do, and then they emerge. AB wasn't picked in the first round. Le'Veon Bell wasn't picked in the first round. These guys, these superstars are coming out of the later rounds in the draft. And the Steelers have a really good finger for that. I don't know how or why, but I like their scouting staff. And, it sounds like AB's going to go, which is okay because, again, we have Smith-Schuster and a couple other receivers that are budding.
Yeah. Washington learning. Good too.
Yeah. So I'm not too concerned. I think Ben's going to stick around for a while and a little while longer at least. And with the new rules, I think that's why you're able to see quarterbacks play until their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just plain and simple. The media makes a big deal out of it, but if you really sit back and think, these guys aren't getting hit like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally they get knocked down, but for the most part, they're pretty well protected now. And these guys, you'll see more and more. You'll see more and more of the greater quarterbacks play into their early 40s
and
then call it quits.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking forward to next season, and we'll see what 2019 brings for them.
And then when the Bills and Steelers go at it, do you guys just fight like cats and dogs or something, or is it just like another game to you guys?
He razzes me pretty good, but we all know who's the
I
better team is.
I razz him more about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh, Notre Dame, yes. Yeah, they did actually pretty well. Yeah, they actually did pretty well, too. Of course, going deep in the playoffs as well, too. I mean, I'm just all of a spectrum for college football, and I'm sure you guys talk about that. But, of course, you got the freedom to say everything on your program, and you're going to hell for it as well, too. So I guess we just, run across some things, too, like with happening in the news. And, just give us some of your thoughts on lately with President Trump. And I guess with the government shutdown and also with going North Korea, Russia, and everything else, and maybe just a few things, or even like the Grammys or something. Maybe just give us some of your take on that.
Well, on our show, we talked about the president quite a bit. I don't always agree with what he does or how he approaches things, but he is the president, so we support him for that. As far as, like the border wall and stuff like that, I can understand why, there's people out there that are against it, but also in the grand scheme of things, I live in upstate New York, so I don't know what the people in Texas are going through or the people in Arizona and the struggles that they're facing every day. So I guess, the way I approach that is I don't live it, so I don't know it. So, but if Arizona and Texas think that they need a wall to protect themselves from whatever they need to protect themselves from, that's up to those states and the president to come up with a plan and decide how to protect their civilians. as far as the Russia scandals and all that stuff go, I don't know. Did he talk to somebody? Probably. But at this point,